Hello and welcome to the first ever Awesome Archie on tour, celebrating diversity in schools. Whoop, 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 whoop. Let me roll the way. Look how cool that is. Ah, it's me. Now, I know this is going to sound a bit weird because you all know me as Mrs. C, but today I'm not Mrs. C. I'm actually Becky, the published author and illustrator. This is the only time in a school day that you're going to be allowed to call me Becky, so make the most of it today, because otherwise you're going to get told off. So I have the real privilege of talking to you today about what it's like to be both an author and an illustrator, and also what it's like to live with someone with a special educational need. Now, the posh word for this is neurodiversity, and it's a really important word, and it's one of my most favourite subjects. So we're going to be talking about that a lot today. Now, first of all, I wanted to make sure that you all knew what an author was. And in my opinion, books wouldn't be that much fun without the illustrations. And someone who creates illustrations is known as an illustrator. Now here's a fun little factoid. In the world there are about 200,000 published authors and a similar number of fully working illustrators, but only a teeny tiny percentage of that number are actually authors and illustrators together. It's a really rare skill to have, and I'm so lucky because I have that skill. Woohoo! Now, I know I've told you that I'm a published author and illustrator, but I can't take all the credit because in actual fact, I wouldn't have been able to write any of my books if it wasn't for my awesome partner and my bestest mate, Awesome Archie. Okay, Awesome Archie, come in and join me, come on. Here he is, lean forward, darling. I want everybody to see you. Can you say hello to everyone at the Priory school? Say hello.
Hello.
Hello. Excellent. So I've brought Archie in. You're going to have to come in because they can't see you. Sit up here, look. That's it. That's better. That's far more friendly, isn't it? So I've invited Archie in to talk to you himself about what it's like to be a little bit different. So Archie, when you were born with lots of medical conditions and lots of diversity, weren't you? So what's different about you, Arch?
I'm autistic.
You're autistic, so you have autism, yeah? Okay, and I tell you what, we'll get you to describe what that means.
I have autism, which is a developmental neurological difference.
What's your secondary diagnosis, Arch?
ADHD.
ADHD. And the medical term for ADHD is
ADHD.
nice. Is attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder.
ADHD is a behavioural brain difference.
And Arch, what is your, I mean, you've got lots of other medical conditions, but what's your other main diagnosis? SPD, and SPD stands for sensory processing disorder, and this means that Archie often finds it very difficult to do things like eating. Foods often can taste incredibly spicy and not very nice. He often doesn't like loud noises, and
Not often.
well, always.
I don't like
No. But whereas there are a few negatives to it, it does mean that Archie can go on roller coasters again and again and again because he loves spinning around all the time. Is that right? Yeah. Good. I'm glad you agree. So we're very proud, aren't we, because we've written these books together.
Yeah.
And we're really happy that you're inviting us to talk about it. So our first book is called Awesome Archie and Mickey, the fedora-wearing super puss. And that book is an introduction to our series. It's just a way of showing everyone how hard it can be sometimes for children who are neurologically different to be in a mainstream school. Sometimes when Archie was younger, he used to get into a little bit of trouble, didn't you? But now we understand the conditions that he has, and as a school we've grown so well with our special educational needs support. There's no trouble now, it's all good, isn't it? And now you don't go to mainstream school, you go to a specialist hub and you love it, don't you? Thumbs up for the specialist hub. Boom! Our second book is expanding on that. Yes, thank you. Lovely. Our second book is expanding on that, and it's called Awesome Archie and the Neurodiversity Dudes. It was a way of us talking to children, adults actually, about lots of different neurological conditions. We cover a lot of things that maybe couldn't be covered elsewhere. And also it's an insight into how someone like Archie can get through the day by the use of fidget toys and distractions and things that make the day-to-day life more comfortable. Yes? Arch, who's your favourite neurodiversity dude?
Maybe the hyperactive Hamlet.
Yes, he's pretty cool. I think my favourite's Darcy the dyspraxic duck. She's got beautiful eyelashes and a lovely bow. And our third and most recent book is Awesome Archie Eats the Moon. And this is to demonstrate, actually, regardless of diagnosis, everything is achievable because this incredible story came from this brain. Show them your brain, go closer. Go closer, show them this brain. Say, this brain is awesome, people. Yeah, exactly. It's also about pride and acceptance. It doesn't matter about a diagnosis. If anything, it's a really great opportunity to spur you on to great things. So as I finish this worship, I'm going to read to you from our third book, Awesome Archie Eats the Moon. And I hope as you listen to the story that you remember that you are capable of absolutely anything. Right now, at your tender age, the world is your oyster and you can decide to take yourself anywhere. Whether you have a diagnosis or whether you don't, it doesn't matter. Everybody is capable of achieving great things. And as long as you're a good person, a nice friend, and you never give up, oh my word, what an amazing life you're going to live. So enjoy the story and remember that we at the Priory School value every single one of you. See ya. Awesome Archie Eats the Moon, written and illustrated by Rebecca Clapcott, inspired by the awesome brain of Archie Clapcott. This book has been written to help and encourage everyone to embrace self-acceptance. Although autism, ADHD and other neurological conditions can bring difficulties, the positives by far outweigh the negatives. Embrace and enjoy your imagination. It can take you absolutely anywhere. Remember to keep being wonderfully weird. This is Awesome Archie, the hero of the hour. He's wonderfully quirky. Autism's his superpower. Every single evening, once bedtime has arrived, he climbs aloft his high-top bed and a mission is contrived. See, Archie stares in wonder at the beauty of the moon. He has to find a way up there. He has to find it soon. The scientists have always claimed that the moon is made of rock. But Archie says it's made of cheese and stinks like an old sock. With Mickey the fedoraed puss, they conjure up a plan to fly up to the moon of cheese as quickly as they can. First they needed transport. Mum's van won't get to space. We'll have to make some kind of craft that blasts us off with pace. They built an awesome rocket out of bright pink plastic bricks with lots of room and 2 cool seats for Awesome Arch and Mix. They zoomed off into darkness. No gravity made them float, but Archie knew Mum wouldn't mind because he'd left a note. Before too long, they reached the moon and deployed the landing gear. They slowly drifted down to land without a shred of fear. Archie took one giant leap and Mickey followed too. They stepped onto the surface made of lovely cheesy goo. Archie proved what he'd always thought. The scientists were wrong. The moon is indeed made of cheese and has a potent pong. OK, let's collect some cheese, Archie announced boldly. We must get Nanny's favourite, the blue one that's all mouldy. Mummy loves mild cheddar and Daddy likes the strong one. Let's take as much as we can hold and head home once we're done. Mickey dug up loads of cheese. Archie stuffed them in his pocket. I think we ought to head home now, and they hopped aboard the rocket. Before too long they landed safely back on Archie's bed, pockets still crammed full of cheese, just waiting for some bread. When morning came, Mum yelled, "Your cheesy toast will be ready soon!" And that is how it came to be that Archie ate the moon. Don't forget to let your imagination take you wherever you want to go. Maybe tonight it could be your turn to fly up to the moon. The end.